Imagine biting into a perfectly crisp, sweet apple. You know the one. You hear that satisfying crunch, and the juice just literally bursts with flavor. It's such a simple, everyday pleasure, right? But do you actually realize the hundreds of hours of meticulous labor, the deep history, and honestly, the scientific mastery behind that single bite? Well, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the incredible, layered story of the Shinshu apple. We'll look at exactly how a rugged, mountainous region in Japan transformed itself into one of the world's absolute premier fruit kingdoms.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to take a four-part journey today to uncover this story. First, we'll look at the history of Shinshu apples. Second, the year of manual work required for their cultivation. Third, the miracle varieties born from dedicated research. And finally, a rich life with apples.
Part 1. The history that changed Shinshu.
Now, you'd probably think apples have just been growing there since the dawn of time, right? But they aren't native to this region at all. No way. The very first saplings were actually brought in by the Meiji government way back in 1874. It was part of this huge nationwide push to aggressively adopt Western agricultural techniques. And when those first saplings arrived, local farmers were understandably a bit skeptical. I mean, they wondered if these strange foreign trees could even survive in their rugged terrain. But as they kept cultivating them, they discovered something pretty incredible. Shinshu's harsh, yet pristine natural environment was unexpectedly perfect for growing delicious apples. We're talking extreme temperature swings between day and night, crystal clear mountain air, abundant sunlight, and really well-drained soil. As it turns out, these were the exact ingredients needed to produce world-class fruit.
But to really understand the impact of the apple, we have to look at the economic backdrop of the time. Because back then, the dominant, booming industry in Nagano wasn't fruit at all, it was silk. The region was just a massive powerhouse in the sericulture industry, raising silkworms and producing raw silk. Next to that booming empire, apples were kind of just this tiny fledgling experiment happening in the background.
So here's how this timeline actually plays out. In 1874, the saplings arrive. Through the Meiji and early Showa eras, Nagano is riding high. I mean, they are a top silk producer. But by the mid-Showa period, disaster strikes the silk trade. Between fierce foreign competition and the sudden rise of synthetic fibers, there's a massive, devastating decline. The region was facing economic ruin and desperately needed a new source of income. And that is exactly when those experimental apple crops quietly proved their worth. They stepped up, replaced the fading silk industry, and basically saved the local economy.
Moving on to Part 2, a year of steady manual work.
So, having secured their place in history, how exactly are these apples grown today? Let me tell you, it's not simply a matter of planting a seed and casually coming back in the fall. Let's move to and see how this builds, because creating a beautiful, delicious apple is a relentless race against the seasons. It's a ticking clock narrative that consumes a farmer's entire year. The work begins in early spring, when there's still a chill in the air, with bees pollinating the delicate white flowers. Moving right into summer, farmers prune branches to ensure sunlight reaches every single part of the tree, meticulously plucking leaves that might block the sun. By autumn, they're laying down reflective sheets on the orchard floor, and finally, gently hand-harvesting the fruit. It's a year-long micro-narrative of just deep, deep care.
Within this timeline, there are a few highly specialized steps that are absolutely crucial. One of the most important is called tekika, or thinning. A single apple tree will naturally produce hundreds of blossoms and tiny fruits. But the farmers, they don't let them all grow. They ruthlessly yet carefully pick off the excess fruit by hand. Out of all those original blossoms, only a tiny fraction are actually allowed to survive. This ensures that the tree's nutrients are hyper-concentrated into a select few, maximizing their size and that delicious flavor. It's basically an exclusive VIP list for apples.
And then there's tamawashi. Okay, this is where you really see that staggering Japanese craftsmanship at play. Farmers literally walk through the orchard and delicately rotate individual apples on the branch by hand. Why? To ensure every single side of the apple gets perfectly even sunlight so it turns a beautiful deep red. They even lay silver reflective sheets on the ground to bounce sunlight up onto the underside of the fruit. The dedication to perfection here is it's incredible.
Part 3. Miracle varieties born in Shinshu.
You see, Nagano isn't just growing apples, they're inventing them. Through decades of careful crossbreeding, the Nagano Fruit Tree Experiment Station has given us the famous Shinano 3 brothers, which are the absolute pride of the region. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is the contrast between them. First up, we have Akibaya, harvested in late September. It has a striking, deep, dark red color, honestly almost black in some lighting, with a firm crunch and a perfect sweet-tart balance. Next is Shinano Sweet, harvested in October,
which is known for its gentle, juicy sweetness that basically everyone loves. And finally, the youngest brother, Shinano Gold, harvested in late October. It's a gorgeous golden yellow with an elegant acidity and crisp texture that has made it a massive hit, even in European markets.
Of course, we can't talk about Japanese apples without mentioning the global giant, the Fuji apple. But, trivia time. I have to drop a surprising little trivia bomb on you right here, just to keep you on your toes. The world-famous Fuji apple is actually not named after Mount Fuji. No, it's named after Fujisaki Town in Omori Prefecture, where it was originally developed. Even so, Fuji remains a crucial, long-lasting winter staple in Nagano orchards, beloved for its sweetness and its incredible shelf life. So, how long do you think it takes to create a new, successful variety, like one of the Shinano brothers? 10 to 20. Just think about that number for a second. That is the staggering number of years of patient, painstaking research required to develop just a single new apple variety. Researchers have to breed for disease resistance, beautiful color, perfect harvest timing, a long shelf life, and, above all else, incredible taste. It takes years just for a new tree to bear its first fruit, and then years more of observation before it's finally released to the public.
Finally, Part 4. A Rich Life with Apples.
We've seen the history, the immense physical labor, and the cutting-edge science. But how does this single fruit shape the daily life of the region? Well, in autumn, towns like Izuna, Nakano, Suzaka, and Obuse just come alive with apple picking and bustling direct sales farm stands. And this brings a beautifully warm, human element to the harvest. Visitors chat directly with the farmers, hearing things like, "It was a hot summer this year, wasn't it?" Or, "It's sweeter because we had less rain." Locals often buy big boxes of slightly imperfect, family-use apples. They taste just as amazing, but they connect the community directly to the farmers and the natural rhythm of the changing seasons.
And this deep integration goes far beyond just eating them fresh off the branch. The culinary footprint here is incredibly diverse, and this brilliantly illustrates just how versatile the fruit is. You'll find locally crafted hard cider, dry apples, rich apple pies, jams, tarts, and fresh pressed juice. They even use grated apple as a hidden culinary seasoning in savory regional dishes. A single fruit has entirely shaped the regional cuisine of Shinshu.
As we wrap up our explainer today, I want you to consider the immense scale of what we've covered. We're talking about over 150 years of historical resilience, from the total decline of the silk trade to the triumphant rise of the fruit kingdom, and 365 days of relentless, handcrafted labor every single year. Add in the perfect geographical conditions and decades of scientific dedication, and you begin to understand exactly what goes into a single Nagano harvest. It is truly a marvel of nature, human ingenuity, and sheer dedication. All of this rich history, all of this careful labor, distilled right into one piece of fruit. So I'll leave you with this thought to ponder. The next time you pick up a crisp, perfectly red apple, take a moment before you eat it, knowing the extraordinary journey it took to get to your hands. What will you feel in your next bite?